it just seems like, lots of people want to go on vacation, different places, and so forth. But so many times it just does not end well. And here we go with another movie of people going on vacation and it doesn't end well. A common theme in horror movies. Just, I guess, if you're a horror person, you just can't go on vacation. I don't know. Anyway, let's see what the IMDb plot has to say here about their vacation here. So, a couple's vacation, a secluded estate, is upended when they are forced to share the mansion with a mysterious couple. A dream getaway spirals into nightmarish maze of sex, lies, and manipulation, triggering a battle for survival. All right, so yeah, again, vacation. You go to the cabin in the woods. You go here in this secluded vacation home. It's just never good. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you guys. So yeah, this is a new one recently released. Um, I I saw so many, I shared it so many times for Promote Horror. I think mostly with on Facebook. I think we did post a thing or two on the site as well. And you know, because I guess I saw it so many times, when I came across it, I just decided to watch it. It seemed like a lot of good things were being said about the movie, so why not? And I guess that kind of gave me, maybe a few expectations as well as what I thought the movie was going to be, versus what it ended up being. And I will say that I almost debated about doing this review because, unfortunately, I can't really get into this review and tell you really anything without kind of spoiling it. So, big spoiler alert here. Unfortunately, guys, if you've not seen the movie, I'm going to give away a big twist in this movie. Now, if you're a seasoned horror fan, I don't think I'm really ruining anything for you. Once a few minutes into the movie comes, you might have a guess of what is going to, the possibilities of what's going to happen here. So, yes, unfortunately, this is not spoiler free. I am going to unveil a big part of the movie because if not, there's not much that I can say otherwise. So, it's for you guys to decide whether you want to carry on or not with this review. So yeah, and again, I will say also that kind of makes it not completely original. Maybe with some of the stuff that happens here in the house, whatever you want to call it. But I've seen this kind of what eventually plays out, and what I'll say here shortly. We've seen before in other horror movies, thriller movies, and so forth. Even some other maybe even comedy movies or whatever. So. Again, not that I don't think I'm, grandly spoiling anything, but, I guess, to be fair, if you haven't seen it. So yeah, the movie kind of starts and we get that kind of one scene where you have two people running through the woods, and let's say this scene ends with a big ouch. And I'll say a big ouch for specifically you guys out there. So I will say this as the movie. The movie definitely ends with, a big ouch, like I just said, and definitely ends in a nice bloody way. So I'll at least give the movie that, before I really get into this, I give the movie that for a beginning and an ending here. Definitely gets you, your eyes, your attention there. But once, we get through that scene, so that something bad is happening here in this house or this area or whatever, we get a couple that shows up at the house. You kind of briefly kind of meet them. They get into the home and so forth. They have some conversations, so you get to know a little bit about them early. And before you know it, a second couple shows up at this house. And unfortunately, they're like, oh, well, we rented the house. Well, we rented the house. What do we do? They kind of joke about playing game for it or tossing a coin for it. Neither side really wants to leave. Obviously, one side got there sooner than the other. So, whatever. But I think, they kind of come to an agreement, pretty fast, sort of fast, to, just kind of like stick it out, and, I guess they'll vacation together. Personally, I don't know. Like, I don't know about that. And especially after watching this movie and, like I said, some other movies, probably not a good idea. So, I know that, typically you do kind of in a way vacation with strangers all the time. I mean, you check into a hotel. I mean, they may not be in the same room as you, but, there's a whole floor of strangers. We should do more hotel horror maybe then. But, so in a way you are. I mean, you go around the hotel, you're with other people there. But, this is a limited situation and limited quarters. So, and you have no, real choice other than to see these people. So, at first, the house looked kind of big. I was thinking, maybe, you get the right side of the house, you get the left side of the house, whatever. But, I guess it wasn't that big. So, yeah, so, the couples, make the most of it. They get to know each other. They have some conversations, some drinks. I think they go to the pool. I don't know if it was the pool or the lake or whatever. And everything kind of seems fine. But then, as I said, as the horror fan here, once it kind of settles that, hey, these are the four people in this house, it's just a matter of, which way is it going to go? You have four people here, and basically it's your choice of, is one out of the four bad? Is two out of the four bad? Is it a mixed couple thing? Is it one couple's bad and the other one is not bad? Which couple is bad? So obviously, all the cards are there. It's just, what is it going to be? With the outside chance that there's somebody else involved, okay? There might be, that card is still there, I guess, as well. But let's get serious. As this kind of goes on, and it is only the two couples there, the more that this goes on, it's obvious that it is, one couple or the other that is up to no good here. And, I guess the fun part, is to kind of pick. And, I think it is a little obvious who is the bad couple here again. So I guess, the fun is short-lived. I think if you're a little bit more not paying attention or whatever, you may have a little bit more fun with it. But I think it's pretty clear who the bad people are here, just by the setup of things and just by, looking at the couples. I think if it maybe was the other way, it would have been a little bit more shocking, but it wasn't. So, yeah, so eventually, you see the two couples getting along, and then obviously you see, you make that determination, okay, this one couple is bad, this other couple is good, and you slowly see the things that the bad couple is doing to kind of mess with the good couple. And I'll just say bad couple, good couple here to make it easy. And then obviously it's just going to spiral and spiral to get worse and worse and worse until we get a nice, fun, bloody ending, where basically, the two sides are going to have it out. So that's the sum of the movie. So I would say that is not really what I expected. Now, again, I don't know what I expected, but just by seeing some of the things that were said in the, by sharing and whatever, I kind of had different thoughts. I thought maybe there was a few more people involved. There's going to be a little bit more death involved in this movie than there ultimately was. But there wasn't. So like I said, the beginning gives you a good scene, the ending gives you, a nice, once the two couples, kind of really, square off and, the true fight for survival begins, that's the fun stuff. I think a big chunk in between, and this whole setting up and, everybody being kind of good and then slowly moving the one couple to be bad and bad and bad. I don't know. The movie is, just a touch over an hour and a half. So it's not that the movie felt long, but I guess, and I guess you do have to set things up and drive the tension and whatever, blah, blah. And ultimately, the bad couple is kind of playing a game with the good couple. So there's all of that. But, I guess I could have just done without a lot of that. Like, I just, whatever, whatever, you have to do your setup, whatever. I could have done with just less of that. And especially once you once you know things, it's just like, let's get to, the meat of it. Let's get to where the fighting is going to be. Let's get to the killing. The characters, obviously, the bad ones are obviously playing a game. They're obviously having fun with it. But as me, as the viewer, it's like, I know, kind of what's going to be expected to come now, and I just want it to happen, and let's just get it done. I don't want to play the game. And, the good couple didn't want to play the game. I'm not sure I want to play the game. Can we just move to the end good part? And even at that point, it's one of those things where I would have been like, let the bad couple win, and let's inject a new good couple in there, and let's play the game again, and we can kind of move it, faster, and just get to it, and let's move certain couples in, and let's knock them off, and whatever, and I would just appreciate it a little bit more. Get the blood and guts going and flowing here, and let's do this thing. But instead, it bogs down on just these two couples, and then oh, then kind of mixing and matching. Oh, well, did you know that he was looking at me or saw me undress? And oh, and sprinkle this whole cheating thing and blah blah. Then they have these mystery rooms that they go and unlock, and there's all these sex devices in them, and so forth. And it's like, oh, what is that? And obviously one couple's like, oh, okay, that's fine, and the other couple's kind of maybe not okay with that, and that causes some tension. So it's all about causing relationship tension the entire time, and it's like totally whatever. Like, can we just move past all this? I mean, really, where this is going. Like, why do we have to go through all this? Like, yeah, you're making the movie or whatever, blah blah, but you just have to sit through it. I will say, at least when we get to the part where they're basically fighting for their lives and whatever, I thought that was executed at least well. So at least it is worth the wait. At least they give you some fun stuff there, ends and some nice bloody scenes, and so forth. So really, to me, it's just everything in between. Do you have the patience to watch everything in that middle part there or not? So yeah, so I don't know. So with that, I think I'm just gonna give it 2.5 pools of blood, mostly because of the blood at the end, mostly because of the ouch scene at the beginning. Everything in not having a huge twist in it that is not shocking or whatever in a way. I guess if you've never seen this kind of horror movie or this kind of setup, I guess it might be an interesting twist to you or not. But I don't know. To me, like I said, we've seen this before, and it becomes fairly obvious what is going to happen really early on. If they would have done something completely different or whatever, then I would have been more shocked and said, hey, and I probably wouldn't have said anything about a twist where I say, hey, this movie's got a really good twist and so forth. And left it at that. But yeah, and not really that surprising. So yeah, I'm gonna lean towards 2.5 pools of blood just because I enjoyed most of the bloody parts. Really, it should be 2 pools of blood. But I'm gonna give it that extra little bit just because I like the bloodiness of the end, and definitely the ouch scene at the beginning. You just can't forget that. So yeah, 2.5 pools of blood out of 5 for this one. So with that, horrorscorereviews.blogspot.com is where you can find all of my reviews, written and video. Certainly mostly video reviews for a while now, so you can like, subscribe, and do everything else that everybody wants to do here on YouTube. If not, no worries, it's okay. I thank you for your time regardless. Twitter, Facebook, information down below as well, so you can join me there, talk about this movie, other movies. You want me to review something, feel free to reach out, and definitely in the comment section, your thoughts on the movie. And if you haven't seen it, you can curse me for spoiling it for you. But once you watch it, I think you'll see that it was not that big of a spoiler after all. So with that, I will catch you on the next review, horror fans.